Okay, just to recap the last game, I thought the crowd was fantastic. It's a beautiful day. I thought our guys played pretty hard. We're pretty focused, but we certainly didn't play well in the first half offensively with the three fumbles. Our execution outside of three fumbles was okay, but that part was the biggest takeaway from that game. Is like I don't know if I've ever seen that. I know I've never had that losing three fumbles in four plays. But anyway, our guys didn't panic, and put the team away like they should have in the second half. But a lot to work on, a lot to get better from. Know that, from here on out, the challenges get a whole lot tougher. So we'll have a good physical practice today. Try to fix the things that we messed up on Saturday, and go from there.
So, Rich, look at a few positions now that you've seen film and sort of analyze. Maybe start with the offensive line. What did you think of how they did?
I thought our line played pretty hard. We didn't get as much push at times as we need to. The physicality was there sometimes, but not probably to the point that we're going to have it going forward. But assignment-wise, they were pretty solid for the first game. For guys all playing for the first time in the game, in that kind of an atmosphere, I thought they communicated well. There were a couple missed assignments, and as you would expect, but overall, mentally, they did a good job.
Wide receivers obviously Cam played well, but besides Cam?
Yeah, Cam, he's an explosive player, but he's got to take care of the ball better. It was a fumble waiting to happen before then because how he was carrying the ball, so we got to learn from that. I thought the wideouts did a pretty good job blocking. Again, we didn't do a whole lot like scheme-wise or play-wise throughout the course of a game, but I thought the skill players played pretty solidly.
How did you guys react to the adjustments that you made? Were there many?
No, those are always overrated anyway. I mean, take care of the ball at halftime. We didn't do a lot of different plays or anything like that in the second half. We were running the same plays. We just didn't put the ball on the ground. So there's more. But I think putting the ball on the ground was for them. Sometimes there's turnovers that they force because they put a hat on it and you don't not hold it high and tight enough. But on top of that was, I don't know if we had some loafing going on during the fumbles because you could see the ball on the ground and all of a sudden our guys speeding up to try to recover it. Well, if they were running their full speed beforehand, maybe you had a chance to recover it. So there's some lesson learned about that, and that was the part. The fumbles, obviously the ball security, but also how playing hard where you're around if something bad happens, and we've got to learn from that.
Now that you've taken time, assess the quarterbacks, obviously Nico, but the others that got the chance to play later in the game.
Yeah, it's kind of like we thought Nico got some game experience. He's relaxed out there seeing the field. There's always one or two things that we want to take back, but he was in control of running the system and did a nice job, made a couple key first down runs. And then the other guys, all had explosive runs, Jalen and Scotty and Khalil. And I wanted to play them more. That was a disappointing part by having those turnovers and not putting the game away in the first half. I was hoping to have a whole second half to play those other guys and get some play in our system. So they got a quarter of it, didn't get a half of it. But I think they all went in there and did some decent stuff.
First half was dicey, but the second half things were really clicking. A few days removed, do you feel like that momentum in the second half has carried over into a little bit more confidence for this team?
You probably get a little bit more confidence, but I don't know if there's a whole lot of carryover from one week to another anyway, good or bad. Certainly you don't want it to have it if it's bad, but I think the best part for me about when you finally put the team away a little bit is you get to play more people. We expected to play a lot of people, and we didn't play enough. We weren't able to do as many, even though we were rolling some guys in the first half. We weren't playing as many as we should have had. The second half should have been all the other guys, and it was really until the fourth quarter that the end of the third and the fourth quarter were, all the other guys were taking all the reps. So but they got some, and that was a good part about it. They all got, a lot of guys got some reps and got some game experience.
Did you get a chance to study them at all last year before you came here, before the bowl game, or were you already moved on?
No, I was working on Ohio. It was, I don't know exactly. It might have been a couple weeks, and then this thing happened, and then I was gone, and so but some of the other staff was there the whole time, and so we've watched the bowl game, but I'm sure they've watched it too. So it's not like we get info on them and they got info on us. You get an idea, but you're going to get more. I think we'll get more idea from them from watching their game against Rutgers than maybe the game against Jack State.
Just looking at this roster, I counted like 25 different states, like 3 or 4 different countries. I mean, they're building their team from everywhere.
Yeah, sounds familiar, don't it?
That's what I mean. I mean, you got experience doing that.
Yeah, they're in a state. Ohio's got a lot of really good football players. That's a little bit different, and we're close to Ohio, so we kind of consider that, one of our home bases. So Ohio high school football is really good. I'm talking about really, really good, and so there's a lot of players there, and their quarterback I think is one of the best in the country. He's really good, really talented. He can take the play that's off and make something happen out of it. And they're the best team in the MAC. I mean, by far last year. I think they're both the championship game they won going away, and so they were the best team in the MAC. And they've got, even though their head coach left, their coordinator stay, and so their culture, if that's the right word, is already established there because of the staff that returned, and it's going to be a big challenge. I think our guys got to learn. I told them we got to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable because we're going to be in a small locker room, a long bus ride against a good team with an explosive quarterback, and it's going to be an interesting challenge.
Under their quarterback, a lot of people do kind of say that he reminds them of a typical Rich Rod quarterback with the way he plays and the ability to do everything through the air, but also on the ground. Does that in any way provide you any advantage because you're scheming against somebody that maybe you would even be able to have on your team? I know that's Zach's realm, but still, you kind of
Yeah, no, I don't. No, I'd rather him have some big old slog back there that don't run. I don't think it's schematically. I don't think it. I mean, you got to have, that in mind defensively when you're putting your packages together and say, hey, this guy, you might have everybody covered, and he's going to take off and run. So it's not one of these deals where you don't have to worry about the quarterback taking off. You have to worry about the quarterback taking off. So that's the big part of it. You can't let him run around and scramble and run for first downs and throw for off schedule plays and all that kind of stuff because he thrives in that atmosphere, I guess you could say.
Last year, Nico completed 18 of 20, I think it was, against Arizona. Yesterday he completed, Saturday he completed 17 of 20. Does that make you start thinking maybe the pass with this team is as comfortable as running the ball?
Well, we have to, yeah. In fact, what we want to always play your plays that you call have to be comfortable for the quarterback does best. They all have to be able to do all of it, but Nico's an accurate thrower. He's a lot of it. Some of his throws in the last game were off run plays, RPOs that he was making. He could have thrown more of them. In the second half we kind of shut a lot of those down. We were just going to hand the ball off, so to speak. But he's really comfortable in the RPO world. He's comfortable in the route packages that we have, and he's a very accurate guy. There's a couple that he missed, and a couple of the other quarterbacks missed too. But he's got a good feel for that. He's got a strong enough arm. You saw it on the deep ball. Made a beautiful throw on the deep ball. But his strength is that he's an accurate thrower, and I think one of the best attributes you can have as a quarterback is accuracy, and he's an accurate guy.
How much do you from their deep?
Not much. We weren't really challenged on defense and didn't think so going in. Obviously, they're on a smaller level. And we gave up a couple 3rd and 10s early, but outside of that, I thought they played pretty solid, weren't really challenged. I mean, Zach always does some stuff, but he didn't do nearly all the stuff that he typically would do because he didn't have to.
From their defense.
A lot more this week, right?
Oh yeah, this will be especially with their quarterback and their skill guys.
Their defense, what do you see? I guess reading them, secondary's established back. You got a big safety.
Yeah,
What do you see?
very active, very athletic, play really, really hard, which a lot of coaches say every team plays hard, but they do. They play with a chip on their shoulder. You can tell they've got a great culture. As I said, we know they're going to play extremely hard against us. And, our guys said that, the mentality from the bowl game and that, with the Jack State bowl game, they were up pretty big at half, I guess. And then Jack State came back a little bit. It was a close game at the end, but they said their kids are very athletic and, play with a lot of passion. So it's going to be a good test.
A couple of plays where it looked like Nico just took advantage when cornerbacks were way off, just took the snap, threw it out as quickly
Yeah,
as
some of the
possible.
RPO stuff.
Yeah, I mean, are those all RPOs, or does he have the freedom to, hey, if I see this, I'm going to totally
No,
go
it's
away?
built in. Some of those RPOs, they're built in. Like I said, there were probably a dozen more times he could have taken it, and we were just going ahead and get the first down or what have you. So, but he was good at. He's always been, I think, pretty good at that. And that game, part of it is too. This is our first game together with Nico in the system, so we're still meeting about all the route. We're actually trimming the game plan down, so to speak. We're, now you're getting to the point where, okay, we're not going to use this, we're not going to need this. And, so we can get, a lot of coaches try to expand as the season goes along. And I'm usually just the opposite. I try to, shrink it down to what our guys can execute and what we're going to need to have success in each game. So we'll actually cut the game plan down. But there's a lot of stuff we didn't do in this last game that we'll carry every week.
Rich, when you're going into an environment like that's going to be in, it likely will be the biggest crowd that program has ever had. What's your plan throughout the week now? Are you going to pump in music? Are you going to try to make it uncomfortable? Are you going to try to simulate that as best as you can before?
Yeah, we'll do a little more crowd noise. We typically do that on Thursdays. We'll probably do a little bit of it at the end of 5 or 10 minutes at each practice, just so our quarterbacks are vocal or our guys are making their calls vocal a little bit, and we'll talk all week about, the environment you're going to be in and all that. But a lot of times it's believe it or not, it's easier to get your team focused on a road game because that's all it is. It's just them. It's just us. It's not all the other stuff going around, families and recruits and all that stuff. So, hopefully that's what our guys will get dialed in on this week.
Similar to quarterbacks, you wanted to get more guys in. You said running backs, maybe the same kind of story.
Yeah, I would have liked to get some of those guys more carries. With Ty Edwards, I don't know if he got a carry. Sincere got a couple. Tyler got one. Clay Ash got one. I'd like to get Dior Hubbard. I would have liked to get him a couple carries as well. So, again, we lost 3 possessions in the first half because of our own wrongdoing. So, I had those 3 more possessions. That would have been 3 more opportunities for some other guys.
With the number of players you have there, and that's not going away anytime soon. You're adding to it. Is there a rotation plan there? Is it a hot hand in practice to figure out
running backs?
Yeah, who's second, who's third, how deep you actually go?
Yeah, it's still to be determined. And it's not just games, even though games are an easy indicator of how they're going to play. It's practice too. It's like, how are they performing in practice? Are they on top of all the stuff? And so we're still evaluating every day in practice, but that's not going to change. That's going to be all year, and that's probably going to be every year. The first year, this first year, there's still evaluation that'll take place up until the last game.
Any more news on Jimmori Robinson?
Nah, we're hoping to hear something the next day or two.
Rich, what did you see from your tight ends and how did they handle the offense on Saturday?
I thought they played pretty well. I think physically, blocking wise, we were okay, not dominant. Caught the ball a couple times. It's an athletic group, not a big. We don't have that 6'5", 260-pound guy, but they're all pretty athletic. As far as in the open field and blocking in the open field, I thought it was solid. It's okay.
So you mentioned you may hear next couple days about Jimmori. It's Tuesday. Would there be a chance he could play against Ohio?
It'd have to happen in a hurry, and we'd probably have to get an appeal to get it going before Saturday. So that's a long shot.
You guys who didn't play because of injuries. What's the status of Katzer, Brown, some of those guys who weren't available?
Yeah, Katzer probably, I think he'll be practicing today or maybe tomorrow. Who's the other one?
Max Brown.
Yeah, Max, I think he's got a slight hamstring. Not sure if he'll go full go today, but he'll do some. I would like to see Max get in that game as well, but he's got to catch up too because those other guys are, like I said, we're trying to manage all those quarterbacks.
Give me your impression on Russell Hammond, or Hammond Russell,
Yeah.
whichever way it is. And he's been here a long time.
Yeah, he played pretty good, well. He's everybody loves him. He's got a great personality. And what I appreciate is when we got here, there's a transition and a lot of guys are like, I don't know if we're going to stay and all that. And he not only stayed, but he helped encourage some of those other guys to stay too. It's like, hey, let's stay together. And he didn't have to do that. After I got to talk to him, I said, hey, I would appreciate your help. But he was already helping, telling guys, hey, stay here with the new staff and build this thing, what have you. And so he was one of the glue guys back in January, I guess, or December to help with some of the guys on the staff. And so we really appreciated that.
After the game on Saturday, Nico said that with these receivers, he thinks that this program might be the deepest in the Big 12, I'm guessing, at that position. How do you feel about your depth when it comes to receivers and I guess also tight ends, anyone who can, act as a pass catcher?
Yeah, we're playing 3 tight ends with all pretty athletic. I said they're not the biggest guys. The receiver group, again, it's hard to judge off the first game because you weren't going to get challenged then. But I think it's a pretty solid group. We got a lot of guys that we have confidence in. But as the challenge gets a little bit better this week, I can answer that a little bit better. Okay.
Drive starters, your first play of a drive or your first down plays, obviously really important, but early in the game on the road, do you hone in on those a little bit more to make sure that you have the momentum and you're not 3rd and 8, 2nd and 10 over and over?
Yeah, well, for us, first down is always a key down just so you can kind of get the tempo going. That's where I thought our tempo, I know it's kind of related, was pretty good for the first game, but it really didn't take much of effect because they had 3 drives where they didn't have to play at all but one play. So I think when we had longer drives and, the tempo was involved with it, I think it really helped. And it maybe had a cumulative effect into the fourth quarter. I don't know. But typically that's what happens. It may not show up early, but the effect of it, if you're having success, will show up later from that standpoint.
Rich, I know that we're on this week, but how do you get a team and make sure a team does not look ahead? Because some can refer to this as a trap game because the brawl is out.
That's ridiculous.
How do you avoid it? I'm not saying
How do you avoid it?
How do you avoid that happening?
If they're thinking about anybody other than Ohio, they need to go somewhere else. It's as simple as that. I don't even think about Saturday. Right now, I want them to think about how do I get through Tuesday's practice. Tomorrow, okay, what do I got to do to get through Wednesday's practice? Then we get to Saturday, okay, how do I win the game on Saturday? And then go from there. So that's not, that's not going to be that difficult for us to manage, I don't think.
Their defensive coordinator, Hauser, you have any experience with him? Had a really good defense last year, really good against the run. What do you see?
I've been doing it so long, I don't know, he could have been somewhere I was at. But like I said, if you look at, system-wise, and even though, like I said, they got a new the whole system is back, so they're you can see they're very comfortable with what they're doing. Typically, if they're a new staff in the first couple games, there might be a guy out of place or out of position or something because of, learning the system. And you can see against Rutgers, there weren't guys misaligned, there weren't guys blowing assignments or anything like that. They were comfortable with what they were doing, which they should be because they've been doing it for a while.
3-4, right? Pretty much.
No,
No?
They're even front base, but they'll do a little bit of everything. They're not going to let you outnumber. They're going to try to outnumber you in the box, but they'll do it in a way disguised a little bit and change things up for you.
That Jack guy is.
Yeah, they're not going to have a 3-man rush or 3-man front. They're going to
Okay.
be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 down.
After,
Rich, seeing the locker room over there might make your guys appreciate this a little more?
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I think our guys, like I said, I don't say they're spoiled, but you know, when you go somewhere on the road, you know, maybe in a different environment, you can say, "Golly, we got it pretty nice." Now I don't know how. I haven't even been in our visitors' locker room. I don't think it's the best, but why would it be, right? Why do we want to make a visitors' locker room good? So it's going to be, like I said, there's going to be some interesting challenges, and we got to be mature enough to handle it.
Rich, right after last week's press conference, they announced the schedule change for the future, taking Alabama off.
Yeah.
So just your reaction, your thoughts.
Well, I kind of anticipated it because once the SEC went to 9 conference games, I think there's going to be other announcements, other schools that had some games that'll be changing now that had games with SEC schools. So we had kind of prepared for it because we thought that was going to maybe come, and that's why we got that series. I think it was with Virginia or somebody, the neutral site game. So it was a good thing we were kind of expecting it because we were able to move quickly with it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.